Well, hey everybody, how are you? This is Marlo coming to you from our Laughter, Light, and Love page. Well, not from our page. Actually, now we're doing a live Zoom call with my friend Lynn Johnson. Hey, Lynn. How
Hey, Marlo, how are you?
great. It seems like Facebook isn't doing too well right now. We couldn't get in live to do a Facebook Live, so we are going with Plan B and doing a Zoom call. So we can't have interaction with everybody, which is a little disappointing, but this is the way obviously it's supposed to be. So we'll just record it,
Okay.
download it, and we'll get it out to you. So Lynn, thanks so much for being with me today. I appreciate
It's an honor. It's an honor. I'm super excited. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm very, very happy to be here with you today.
Yeah, thanks. Have been trying to do this for a while, and then you lost your dad, which was, I mean, the timing. We were just getting ready to do a call and record a call on grief, and then you had that journey to travel. So again, I'm sorry for your loss.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, everybody, this is my friend Lynn Johnson. We've been friends for a long time. Her and her husband Gerald, they have started the Gathering Church here in Michigan.
Yeah.
And Lynn is the founder of Gathering Friends, and she's going to talk to you more about that. So you're doing all kinds of great things and just pouring into the lives of others. So,
Exactly.
why don't you give a quick or not quick introduction of yourself and anything you'd like anybody to know about you and
Oh, let me see. The important stuff first. I am a mother of 7. Been married to my husband, my sweetheart, my best friend for 27 years. Gerald and I will be celebrating 28 years in June. I cannot believe it. Oh my goodness.
Congratulations.
Yes, I founded Gathering Friends back in 2013. It's an organization that our mission, our vision is very simple. We empower women. We try to help women to get unstuck with the things that get us stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, that was loss, but so yeah, we empower women and help them to get them moving again towards their destiny in God. And so Gathering Friends has been amazing. We do a lot of our work in women's shelters.
Mm-hmm.
We go into the shelters and find out why they're where they are. And a lot of times we find out that they have unresolved loss, not necessarily the death of a loved one, but some kind of loss that they just got stuck in, that they just could not see their way out. So that's what Gathering Friends does. And then of course, like you said, my husband and I, in August, after lots of prayer, because we were just looking for and found a beautiful home in North Carolina to retire in.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, the Lord spoke and we started a church.
Yes, and I've been there. It's powerful, wonderful. So anybody in Michigan near Livonia or, anywhere nearby should visit. They do an incredible job. It is a very powerful experience.
Exactly. So that's been really interesting, really fun. Lot of work, but I would not trade my journey for anything.
Mm-hmm. You've been called for so many things, and I am so honored to have you here because you do shed such a light for so many people. And my hot button is helping women and empowering women. And you have that same mission to help women get unstuck. And there's so many things we can talk about, so many areas we can dive into. But I specifically wanted to invite you today because I know of your journey with loss. And so I would love it if you could walk us through that. I know that you experienced tragedy many years ago, and we're going to wrap around full circle later what you're doing with what you've experienced in that journey and how you have turned around to help others. So would you mind sharing your story?
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm a mom of 7. And I always tell people that I have one that lives in Chicago. I have one that lives in Brazil. I have one that lives in California. But I have one that lives in heaven. In 2005, our oldest daughter, Ashley, she's a student at Nyack College in Nyack, New York. She was coming home for spring break, and we flew her into Cleveland to visit with her best friend and my niece who had just had a baby. And so this was going to be Ashley's goddaughter. We flew her in to visit with her, and they had an amazing few days. And then they were going to drive the rest of the way to Michigan to spend the rest of the spring break with us. And about 45 minutes to an hour before they got here, they were in an accident and Ashley was killed. She was the only one in the car killed. And that day, as you can very well imagine, turned my world, our world, upside down. Words you never want to hear. You know, when that sheriff walked into that waiting room in the hospital, you know, Ashley Johnson didn't make it. I was, you know, what do you mean? Didn't make what? You know, didn't make what? So yeah, I fell on my knees. And I began to weep. I began to worship because I had been studying on the book of Job, because I was actually preparing the next 2 weeks to do a worship seminar. And yeah, I've been studying Job, and I thought, I'm not teaching from Job. I know nothing about this. So that day I learned about it. And it was a long journey. It was a long journey. They say the death of a child is one of the hardest things that anybody can go through. You know, people divorce, families fall apart, all kinds of things happen. But I knew that if God had allowed that somehow, I didn't know how, but somehow I was going to make it through. So there began my long journey to heal.
And I know you and I have had a lot of conversations about this, but would you share with everybody, because I know there are a lot of people that are going to be watching this that they have lost a loved one, a lot of women that are struggling with all sorts of types of grief. I can think of specifically several women that have lost somebody and they're still trying to heal. And, you know, the number of years, that's not the answer all the time. So would you mind sharing with everybody what was your journey in healing?
Oh my gosh. From that first day, I made a decision to heal. When my husband and I came home from the hospital, we fell on our knees crying and saying, okay, I don't want this to define my life. I can't be in this kind of pain forever, because it was so intense. I mean, my husband talks about how he felt like he was having a heart attack, you know, and a lot of people that we've talked to in those situations have said the same thing. You feel like you're falling and you can't stop falling. You know, it's a constant fall. So we had to choose to heal. And in choosing to heal, because Dr. Steve Arterburn wrote a book called Healing is a Choice. And I really, really believe that the healing, it didn't come right away, but I chose to heal. I said, I want to be healed. And I know there are a lot of people that, you know, they don't believe in God. We don't believe the same way. But for me, the scriptures came to me, you know, in the book of Jeremiah, it says, heal me and I shall be healed. Save me and I shall be saved, for you are my praise. So that immediately came to me. Oh my God, if there's a healing to be had, it's going to come from him. And so some days I would have horrible days. Some days would be okay. I gave myself time and permission to grieve. Christians are the worst at loss. And again, we're not just talking about the loss of a loved one. That was my story, but Christians can be the worst at dealing with pain and loss, because we're supposed to be on top all the time. We're supposed to be full of faith. We're not supposed to, I'm not supposed to tell you when you ask me how I'm doing, I'm supposed to say, highly favored of God.
You and I have had this conversation, girl. We have had this conversation.
Okay. I'm not supposed to say, Marlo, I'm doing horrible.
Right.
I'm sinking. I'm depressed. I'm sad. You know, but I had to give myself permission to feel all those things that I felt, because what I found that if I stayed in that pain, in that place of pain, if I ran from it, if I ran to alcohol, if I ran to drugs, if I ran to sex, those things were going to be temporary relief for me. I didn't want that. I knew I needed to feel the pain and then grow through the pain. All right. And so my journey was literally taking one step at a time. You know, at one point I was in my bed and couldn't get out of my bed. And my oldest daughter at the time came in, Elizabeth goes, Mommy, you have 6 more kids. It is time to get out of that bed.
Oh my gosh, powerful. And for her to have courage to meet you right there in your despair, but to say that truth
Yes.
Oh my gosh, sometimes we need that little bit of a push. You amaze me that you made the choice that day.
I had to.
That's, I mean, that's powerful. That is honorable and quite frankly, unbelievable. But when you do know that you have the strength in the Holy Spirit, it is possible.
Exactly. And again, it didn't happen overnight. I just made that choice. That choice was definitely by faith. And I just began to walk it out. I went and got help. You know, I talked to somebody. I went and got, as a matter of fact, I think somewhere it says I'm not a grief counselor. I wanted to correct that. What I did was I got trained in the grief recovery method. I'm an advanced specialist in grief recovery, and that anybody can be trained as a grief recovery specialist. But I went to get help for myself, and it helped me so much that I was like, I want to be trained in this. I want to help other women, because it gives you the tools on how to get unstuck. It gives you the tools to deal with any loss in your life, you know. And so it really helped me.
So powerful that you made that choice to go on that journey, because it's a trajectory moment. You could go one of a few ways, and you didn't choose counterfeit comfort. You chose to make a decision to travel this journey at all costs and feel the pain. So with as a mama who lost her child and as a grief recovery specialist, what would you say to women that are stuck still in the level of grief or process of grief?
I would say, first of all, don't be ashamed to have to get help. All right. And the thing is grief recovery is different from grief support. Grief support is you'll go to a support group and talk about your pain and your grief. And I'm not minimizing it at all, but it's never ending. Grief recovery is a set amount of time where you go and you actually get some tools on what to do. And first thing I would tell anybody is to please go and get help. Don't be ashamed to say, I'm stuck. I can't do this. I can't breathe. This is too hard. It's too painful. And then something that I found that is common with all of us grievers is that we tend to embrace the loss instead of the life. And what I mean by, if I hold on to the fact that there was this car accident that took my daughter's life and that she is gone, all right, if I hold on to that, then that constant reminder, that constant pain is going to be ever before me. But I chose to embrace the life of Ashley, the life that she led, the legacy that she left, and the things that I can do in my life to honor her and to represent her and to remind people about how awesome she was. Do you see what I'm saying? That when I talked about that part right there, it was kind of, even my face, my natural inclination was downward. But when I talked about the life, everything lifts up.
Yep. It's a
Do you
shift.
see what I'm saying? So yeah, I find that we do that, and we even become friends with our loss. So much so that, you know, we get angry when people can't remember it. You know, I know I did it. I remember somebody inviting me to speak at a conference. It was the year anniversary. It would be the year anniversary of Ashley's death. Somebody invited me to come and speak. I said, don't they know I'm going to be grieving? How dare they ask me to come and speak?
Right. Well,
I remember hearing the Holy Spirit say, really? Planning to be sad?
It's on I'm planning it already. Well, you know, it's so understandable. What do you say when, I mean, I know so many people that, you know, years have gone by and then it just creeps back up. Or like you said, there is a time of year or something that they're passing by in their home, and they've found help. They've been in that process, but they just aren't shaking it, and they need to be around other people. They need to be on, like you just said, we feel like we need to be sometimes. They feel like they can't be their true authentic self, but they're just so dark on the inside in their soul. What would you say then?
You know, I always encourage people to feel.
Right.
I always encourage them to feel. Don't pretend.
Yes.
For me, it's like, okay, I know people that have lost a loved one. They say, for me, I'm having a bad day. I tell people, don't say you're having a bad day. in my case, I would say I'm having an Ashley day. That's not bad. Do you know what I'm saying?
An Ashley day. Oh, because you're feeling it. You're
Exactly.
allowing yourself to feel it. That is the problem with so many situations is people, women, I'll just focus on women, feel like they need to push it down and repress it and not feel it. And that's when it all goes haywire.
And that's when it hurts you, because then that's when it goes inside of us and makes us sick. The Bible says to be angry and sin not. So he gives us permission to be angry, but just don't punch anybody in the face. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
right.
Right. So go ahead and feel that, even if it's 5, 6, 7, just because it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road doesn't mean you're not doing the work, and doesn't mean you're not healing. It just means that we grieve hard because we love hard. You know, it's because we're really disappointed. And sometimes I went through grief shifting from the loss of a loved one. I went through grief when my children grew up. Right. You know, I realized that I was grieving the loss of them being children, them needing me. Do you know? I grieved when I found out my son was this knucklehead kid. Do you know what I'm saying? I grieved the idea that he was not the perfect child that I thought he was. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? So I grieved when my daughter got a tattoo.
Yeah. There's all sorts of grief. I mean, you've experienced probably one of the most unbelievable types of grief. I mean,
exactly. But you allow yourself, give yourself permission to feel. I don't care if it's 15 years down the road. The problem is if you get stuck there and you don't continue to live.
How do you define that? How would you define that? A woman
stuck means when you're stuck in grief, it means that that's all you can talk about. That's all you can think about. You're not doing the things you used to love to do. You are isolating yourself from the people that love you. You are you're very dark in your thinking and your thoughts. You've taken on something, what we call a STIR, a short-term energy relief behavior. In other words, you're drinking more than you used to. You used to have one glass of wine before bedtime. Now you're drinking for lunch. You're drinking all the time. You are, you're racking up shopping, credit card debt, shopping. My husband and I, we talked about it. The year his best friend died, who was our pastor, my husband who collects watches, but in the 27 years of our marriage, he had only bought 3 watches. The year his best friend died, he bought 9 watches.
Right.
And they're not cheap watches, Marlo.
Numbing with another way. And so then what happens is women then get caught in another level on the empowerment spectrum, which is then oftentimes even lower than grief or guilt, or it's shame.
Shame.
Is shame. Now what? So now you have a woman that's secretly trying, she has these counterfeit comforts in her heart or in her life. Maybe nobody knows about it. And now what? Now what does she do? Now she's just ashamed. She's beating herself up, and she has grief on top of it.
Yeah. She's going to have to, for me, again, as a believer, that's what you have to get to the point where you cry out to God. Because I know people say that time heals all wounds. I don't believe that. I believe that in time, God heals all wounds. All right. The Bible says that Hannah, who was having a horrible time with her husband's other wife, that's problem number 1.
More grief.
She could not get pregnant. So she was grieving the fact that she could not have children. But the Bible says she poured her soul out to the Lord. Okay, you may, Marlo, you may not be able to deal with my anger and my frustration. It may be a little bit over the top for you, all right? But God can.
Right.
God can. I can go to him. I can scream. I can yell. I can shout. I can kick. I can sprint. I can let him know that I'm pissed at him. Sorry, can I say that on your site?
Girl, you feel it. Don't you hide those emotions? I get you, girl.
I can let him know that this thing is not good. I've been, working on your job 27 years. You're short of retiring, and then you get laid off. that's a hurtful thing. You grieve that, but you can pour your soul out to the Lord and have him, I remember doing that so many times, and at the end of it, it's like, oh, okay, now I can get up, I can go cook dinner, I can go love on my family, I can go, and maybe I can just make it one more day, but at least I can make it that day. At least I got out of bed.
One foot in front of the other. And I've talked to some women recently who have said it's been years, and they might be living in that shame that I can't talk about this anymore because it's been years, and they just need to go back to the basics every day.
Exactly.
We talked about that on a call yesterday. There is nothing wrong with having a bare minimum day.
Come on.
What it's caused from. Just eat, breathe, sleep, repeat. And we just have to remember, it's what I talked about last night, which is giving ourselves a break. Oh no, I talked about it last week, giving ourselves a break.
Exactly.
We don't have to be the hero. God is is the answer. And I am curious. So you were supposed to speak on Job. Did you find a correlation there in that message?
Well, I had broken it down to an acronym, and the acronym, the W was worship. I think the O was, the O was something, the R was something, but the S, I had put sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I'd gone through this, and I came back and I kept looking at the S. This is when I was studying it through. I kept looking at the S, and I kept seeing suffering instead of sacrifice. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm not changing it to suffering. I don't believe in suffering, right? I'm this crazy, charismatic Christian who, Jesus died on the cross, so I didn't have to suffer, right? So it turns out the S was for suffering. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Jesus said, I never said this life was going to be perfect. I never said it was going to be without pain. I never said it was going to be without suffering. But what I did say in Hebrews is that I will never leave you or forsake you, that I will be with you in the midst of the suffering. You are not alone. We live in a world that is just subject to anything, because we all have free will. We make choices, and people make choices that impact us and whatnot. And sometimes things happen. All right. Mm-hmm. And my assurance was that if God allowed this ugly to come into my life, then somehow, because I believe him, I love him, I know how much he loves me, and I know his word, then somehow he would make this thing beautiful again in his time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it was a constant me talking to myself and praying and crying out and reaching out to my friends. Hey, I'm falling. Can you catch me today? Mm-hmm. It was me being real with myself and the people around me, that y'all, if you don't pray for me, I'm not going to make it. I can remember one day saying, I'm going to check myself into a hospital because I can't be your wife and I can't be your mom.
I was just going to say all this that you were processing, your whole family, but mama is kind of the hub, and you're trying to take, just your courage to walk through that, and you've survived it, and you are an inspiration to so many people. I want to go back to what you just said about God being his will. And we just had a conversation in a meeting that I was in today about how non-controlling God is. We have the will, like you said, you made a choice. But, with the prodigal son and Judas and so many examples in the Bible, and Jesus, that God, he lets us, it was in your time. He's not controlling the situation, and there is free will. And thank God, literally, you made that choice to go on a journey of healing.
Amen.
So, girl, you are an inspiration for so many, and I know so many people are going to love not only women, but I'm sure they'll share this with other people that they know are suffering. I didn't upgrade to my Zoom premium package, so I have 45 minutes, and I don't want it to cut us off.
Me too.
I want to get some of the other. Oh, and I know you have to go in a couple minutes. First of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I know, again, so many people are going to be thankful, but I know that you do enjoy talking about this, because you are a light, and you do know that, and honoring Ashley and the things that you do. it's unbelievable the things that you are doing. I would love it if you would tell us about some of those things. I mean, I'm so excited for your women's groups and the things that you have coming up. And I want to talk about your book. So if you would.
Okay, well, yes. So Gathering Friends is a nonprofit 501c3 organization that exists to empower women. We do that through so many different ways. We mainly we reach out to women in shelters, and we go in there. We have tea parties. All right, we have tea parties where we touch, encourage, and assist women. We go in there with our fine china, linen, no paper, no plastic, anything, real fresh flowers and beautiful food. And we go and transform the room and a shelter, and we invite these women to come into the room for lunch. And when they come in, just their tears are enough. You know, when they come in and say, you did this for us, we want women to know we see them, we hear them, and we care about them, because so many times we feel invisible in the world. When we're hurting, the reason why a lot of the women in the shelters begin drinking and smoking and all these things, taking drugs, they feel invisible. Or sometimes they want to be invisible, you know? So we let them know that we see them and we hear them, and we let them know that God sees them and hears them. A lot of times we go in these shelters, they're non-religious shelters, so we can't go talking about God and we can't go talking about Jesus, but that's okay, because we don't need to talk about him, right? We need to be about him.
You're the light of Jesus. Exactly. You're spreading that no matter whether it's verbally or not. And
exactly. So we go in there and we love on them with tea and lunch, and we have somebody share a testimony. We're in there about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then we get out of there. And then every year we have our big legacy tea, which is in April. We get about 300 women come together. We've got one coming up April 14th. I'm so super excited about it.
I'm going.
Every year we honor a certain group of women. Last year we did women that were raising special needs children. This year we're honoring women that have overcome whatever that is. We've got people nominating friends that have overcome the loss of a loved one. We got people that have overcome all kinds of things. So April 14th, we come together at the beautiful Inn at St. John at Plymouth. Our theme this year is floral, so we're putting on our pretty floral dresses or pants or whatever, and we're coming together. Well, I'm the special guest speaker this year. Love it. I've never done that before. So
talk about an overcomer. I mean, I was just going to say, I didn't realize I'm going, but I didn't realize you were speaking, and I was just thinking, talk about an overcomer. That's you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes. So it's going to be good. Something else we do at Gathering Friends is that we give away $1,000 scholarships every year to Ashley Johnson.
Yes.
Next generation scholarship to high school graduating seniors. We also do $1,000 scholarship to women that have survived human trafficking that are going back to college. We also do a prom package. We pay for everything for a young lady whose family cannot afford that for her prom, because we know that's important to them. So we do all kinds of things with Gathering Friends. I love it. We're a small organization, but we do big things.
I've seen it, and it's amazing, and you're a blessing to so many. So
we couldn't do it without all of our volunteers. We've got a great group of women who help us. Yeah,
I've seen that, and I admire that in you. Your power of delegation, girl. I've been thinking about that lately. I need to start delegating. No wonder I did a call last night on I'm feeling overwhelmed. What I wrote down is you need to delegate, and you have an incredible team. You guys do a lovely job. And then, would you mind sharing your book? I've had several copies, and I give them and send them away. I love your book. There it is.
I got it. Yes, He Restores My Soul. I wrote it after Ashley passed. We got relocated to Switzerland, and which was a blessed break. You know, we went to Switzerland in 2006, and we were there 4 years. And while I was there, I wrote because up until Ashley passing, I had always homeschooled my children, and afterwards, I couldn't do it. You know, that was one of those being honest for myself. Guys, you're going to school. All right. I love you, but I can't do you right now. So I put them in an international school in Switzerland. While they were there, I would go by the Zurich Sea, the Lake Zurich, and write. And sometimes I would throw it away, and I don't want to write because I can't believe I'm on this journey. I cannot believe my daughter's not here. And I would pick it back up in a couple months. It took a couple years to write. It's a small book. Very easy read, but it's my journey of restoration. all right, of just what God did in that time, to bring me to the point where I can now talk about this in a way that encourages and empowers other women. You know, I can talk about it without bringing you into my pain, all right, because of that.
I remember something you said years ago when we were talking about your book, and you said, you know, we were talking about the size of the book, and you said you were looking for, and, you know, when you were searching for a book yourself, you didn't want to write a book that was so thick. You just wanted to find a book that would, you know, it's going to be okay. Like, get to it. And then, and that's
exactly
about your book. It's
exactly. So I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because, you know, publishers had told me, oh, it needs to be 250 pages at least to be marketable and to be, and I said, I'm not trying to do that, you know, because I would go into the bookstore and I would literally slide down on the floor and sit there and cry like, I need something.
That's awesome. Well, your book is amazing, and I've sent it to some friends who have been experiencing grief, and just great stuff, Lynn. I just I love you. I love your mission. You and Gerald, your family. We've talked about a lot of stuff, and it's just about, in general, for women, you know, just doing our best to be our true authentic self, and that just sounds like a pretty heavy burden when we're walking through some stuff, and one of them obviously is grief. There is a whole other call we could do about all the different types of grief, you know, looking and feeling the way we did when we were 20, our kids not doing what, you know, in the meeting I was in today, the topic was codependency. And today they were talking about, the topic was control, and giving up that control that we want to have over people and things in our life. And you're a great example of surrender. And we could, and maybe we will one time, talk about the other types of grief, but really the answer is the same as what you said. It's surrender.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, getting out of God's way.
Yeah.
Showing up in our most, in our authentic state. I mean, we have our authentic self. We know who that is on the inside.
Yeah.
But when our soul is speaking to us that we need to feel something, it doesn't matter how many years have gone by. We don't need to be a hero for somebody else. It's about healing our own self, because then if we don't do that, like you talked about, it represses, it comes out in some other angsty way that's not how we wanted to show up. So and you know, wouldn't you say, I mean, you alluded to having your girlfriends, having a tribe.
Oh my gosh.
Women that you trust and that are going to tell the truth, but they're going to be gentle, but they're going to love, and they're going to direct you.
Oh my gosh. I can remember a day I was sitting, and the day that I spoke of, I'm going to check myself into an insane asylum. I can't do this. I can't do this. The phone rang, and my girlfriend, my best friend, called me. She said, Lynn, whatever you're planning, don't do it. She said, just be patient. She said, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And she began praying for me on the phone right there. And it was just such a breakthrough for me. And that just happened time and time. I remember one time another friend came over and just held me and let me snot everywhere.
The ugly cry, the ugly one. That's a friend.
Ugly.
That's a friend, girl. When they collect it, they don't mind. That's a friend. And that's when what if I am blessed to have that in my closest girlfriends? And what if, I just posted, a friend of mine wrote a blog page on finding your tribe, and there's power.
Yes.
But, we also talk about surrounding yourself with the right people, so there's power in that, and power in togetherness and walking it. So Lynn, I thank you so much, truly, for your time. If women wanted to get a hold of you, I don't want to overcommit you. Are you open to that as a grief?
Absolutely. Because now the goal is to reach as many women as possible. So now we do a Zoom grief recovery.
Wow,
class.
I didn't realize that.
Yes, it's awesome. It's awesome. So women from all over, I can touch, women from all over. We do sessions right on Zoom, which is wonderful.
When do you just put it out randomly, or is it a plan?
Yeah, well, after the Legacy in April, I'll be kicking off another session. All right. So, but gathering friends with the S, the number 4, TLC@gmail.com. They can reach out to me, send me an email, say, hey, I'm interested in doing a grief recovery class. I'm interested in, your organization. just send me an email, or you can even look at our Facebook page, our Gathering Friends for TLC Facebook page. Our website is having some really serious technical issues right now.
Like Facebook.
We're working on it. We're working on it, but for now, you can email me or look me up on Facebook.
Okay. Well, I'm going to post all of those links. Once I post this video, I'm going to post all those links, how they can get a hold of you, your book, and anything else that we talked about that would be useful. So love you, girl. Thank you.
I love you. Oh, thank you for letting me be on there. Keep bringing joy into people's lives. I love you so much for that.
Love you too. We're like-minded and just wanting to reach the hearts of women. Because, girl, we know we need it too. We've been there.
Exactly.
We're walking this road with everybody. So thank you.
We will not be stuck. In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name, girl.
All right.
Not even when Facebook doesn't let us on. We'll find a, we found a way.
Exactly. Bye.
Bye, Lynn. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye, everybody.